Realty can help. With decades of experience, they get big-time results with small-town values. Licensed for the tri-state, check McBriarRealty.com for their complete listings. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
They have ways of making you talk. We want to know where you are going. We want to see your driver's license. We want to see your registration. We want to see that you got car insurance. Have you been drinking?
Oh, yeah, I had a bottle of water.
You know what I mean. Have you consumed any alcohol?
I do have a little cold, so, I took some cough medicine, and I think that's like 1% alcohol.
We want you out of the car now. Bringing the dogs. Sniff, 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 sniff the underwear. Sniff the underwear. Sniff under the seats. Sniff the back seat. Sniff the underwear. I hate checkpoints. And I'm going to tell you this. And this feed's going to stop soon on Facebook. So if you want to watch this further with Russell and me, you need to go to YouTube, Hot News Talk Radio. Click on the radio icon on Facebook. You can also check us out at Noogaradio.com, HotNewsTalkRadio.com, on the radio AM 1240. Because let me tell you, I'm in a mood. I hate checkpoints. Do you know how much I hate checkpoints, Russell?
Apparently a lot.
Right now, if you were a cop doing a checkpoint, you know what I would do? I'd kick your ass. Yeah. Right here. I don't care that you know karate. I don't care that you know judo. What are you taking? Jiu-jitsu? What is it?
Shouldn't say Hapkido.
What?
It's a Hapkido.
See, bam! I hit you.
No, I've been injured.
I hit you. Like, what are you doing with checkpoints? What? Tell me. Why checkpoints? Why do you got to stop my freedom of movement? Tell me.
Public safety, man.
Shut up.
We got to make sure you're safe on the roads.
I'm so sick of hearing that. I am so sick of hearing. I left my house at 17. At 17. Because I didn't want to hear, are you wearing your galoshes? What time are you going to be home? We don't need a mommy. If you're 18 and you're out on your own, you're driving, you don't need a mommy. You don't need some damn cop who's your mommy.
We're just checking to make sure that everything's okay, sir. This is for public safety.
Initially, Russell, the checkpoint was for drinking and driving. They're blasting your ears out.
Yes, it's blasting my ears out.
It was to get drunks off the road. Stinking, lousy, filthy drunks. Where, cops knew the areas that drunks were in anyway. 2:00 in the morning, they were stumbling out. Oh, I can drive. And the bartender lets them go and their friend lets them go and they start weaving. The cop pulls them over.
Yeah.
But now at 10:30 in the morning, they're stopping my freedom of movement, questioning me. I don't need another mommy.
You're not visibly drunk, you're just driving around. And it's everybody, too. When we're talking about the checkpoints, it's everybody who goes through this particular squeeze point. It's not just, well, this guy appears to be drunk and it's probable cause. I get that. But we're talking about someone who is driving very normally, and it's everyone. It's your aunt, your granny, your mom, you, your sister. Everybody gets pulled over at these traffic checkpoints.
We killed a lot of Germans over this.
Did we?
We killed a lot of Germans over this issue.
Over traffic checkpoints?
The Blitzkrieg, we sliced and diced and bombed and killed many hundreds of thousands of Germans over this issue. Yes, over being stopped and questioned without due process and probable cause as to where you're going, what you're doing, and where are your papers. That's why we fought World War II. We killed a lot of Germans over this.
Right.
And now we're acting just like them. And listen, I'm not anti-cop. Everything we do on this station is pro-police. But I'll tell you this, if you're involved in a checkpoint, you're a fascist. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're my brother and you're a cop. You're a fascist. Period. Say no, I'm not going to be part of the checkpoint. I'm not going to be part of the checkpoint. No.
This is not Nazi Germany. And they do it on dates like Labor Day.
Right. Everybody's out on Labor Day.
January 1st, after New Year's. And at my favorite date, and I'm going to tell you this because it actually happened, we did a huge fireworks show at one of my stations in Pennsylvania back in the mid-'90s. Spent it cost $20,000 on fireworks. It was a lot.
Gosh.
Big show. And guess what they had at 11:30 at night on the 4th of July, blocking a bridge.
Oh, come on.
A checkpoint.
Really?
And I'm telling you, because I'll be. My brother was with me. Yeah, I'm on this subject.
On this subject?
Get me started, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I fought a $10 case for 10 years, over $10.
You would.
Because the state was wrong. And he goes, oh, no. And I'm like, just calm down. He goes, oh, no. I said, Joe, you'll probably have to drive the car home because I'm probably going to jail tonight. Oh, no, let's not do this. I said, just hold on. 15 minutes later, we roll up. This is a checkpoint in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Oh.
And of course, it was a state trooper. He had his head on. And we got to the checkpoint.
But the proper terminology is there's state tulpen.
Open. And by the way, there was no way out.
Oh.
Because the Supreme Court, the people in Washington, D.C. that wear nothing under their robes, the little queers and the 9 queers at the Supreme Court, have ruled checkpoints are okay. Somehow, as long as there's a way out.
What's the Fourth Amendment?
You have to publicize it. You have to warn people. And as long as you have a chance to avoid it, it's okay. Oh, they don't realize that they'll chase you if you do that. And typically, they're not legal checkpoints anyway. And of course, the government's answer is, well, it's implied consent. You have the privilege. They love that. They love you have the privilege to drive. The privilege. Screw you and your privilege. People can't get around today without driving. But it's a privilege. And the second, let me see your driver's license with your pretty picture on there. That's your national ID card, and you've got the privilege to drive. We can then, with your privilege and implied consent, ask you where you're going, where you've been, sniff your underwear even more, bring the dogs in, because you may have committed a crime, some crime, to help the claims window of the insurance industry. And to get that federal dollar, sucking on that federal tit. And that's what you local officials love to do. Every single one of you love to suck that federal tit, don't you? Yeah, love it.
Well, Mike, hold on.
That's sour milk from the federal government, and you'll violate rights because of it, won't ya?
But, Mike, it's about public safety.
So now, we're pulling up to this checkpoint at 11th. By now, it's almost midnight. And both sides of the bridge is blocked.
Both sides?
Oh, yeah, because they had it cordoned off. And,
my God.
They're very, very nice. You're always a young guy.
Right.
Old timers don't like checkpoints. They want to catch bad guys. That's why you became a cop. They catch real bad guys.
Well, being at a checkpoint is probably punishment anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to pull over Grandma. Hi, where you going, Grandma?
I just going to Walmart to get me some grapes and some prunes.
They really
very nice.
They really want to do that. It's Mike to you.
Sorry.
You're on vacation for 10 days and already your memory's lapsing. What are you, 21?
Yeah, something like that.
Like a damn old fart. You don't remember anything. You got Alzheimer's?
Maybe early
At 21, I was in court citing cases by memory and cross-examining without paper to intimidate people. You can't even remember my name.
Well,
what the hell's wrong with you?
My generation doesn't need to remember anything because we all have smartphones.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's true. So I pull up to this checkpoint. And a nice young officer comes up. Oh, good evening, sir. Can I see your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance? Now, when anyone asks me a question, I know there's a couple of ways to answer it. One of them is no.
Right?
Yeah. So I said no. He didn't know what to do.
He's probably never heard that.
He didn't hear it that night. What? I said no. What? No, you can't. I need to see your supervisor. Well, sir, we have the right to show me the statute. Because as far as I know, the Fourth Amendment has not been suspended. There's no probable cause. There's no due process. There's no oath of affirmation. Question, though. Have you gotten notice that a little Italian that's a couple of pounds overweight?
Couple.
Well, back then I was just a couple.
Oh, okay. This is back when you looked like me.
Robbed the bank and is driving a Z28 Camaro.
That's
I
a
guess
nice
what I was
car.
back then.
That's a nice car.
Well, I mean, you work hard, you get to ride nice cars.
Do you?
I don't know why I was riding one, but probably I don't think I even owned the damn thing. I think I was driving something like a broken down Mustang. No, I'm kidding. And he said, no. Okay, well then, you don't have any probable cause to do this. And I said, you don't want to escalate it. I didn't call him names. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, this is not a legal, lawful checkpoint. I said, on top of that, you're risking public safety. If an emergency vehicle had to get through and someone was having a heart attack, they would have died. So what you are doing is illegal. You have to tell the system when they're doing something wrong. Russell, 3 years ago in Saudi Daisy, there was traffic backed up. It wasn't backed up a half a mile. It wasn't backed up 3 cars. From the train tracks all the way back. I forget what exit it was, where the train stops about half a mile.
Oh, I know what you're talking
before the right of way of the cars and the gates. They always come down.
That's out on Dayton Pike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one took any initiative to go see what was going on.
No.
And they're just sitting there. So I get out of my car, went over, and I saw the train wasn't moving. And I'm waving people through, doing my thing, because they were backing traffic up. Finally, 10 minutes later, a police officer comes. I says, you ready to take over? Yeah. Get out of your car. Do something. That's why God gave you a voice. All that is necessary for evil to prevail is that good men do nothing. Like, yeah, we're going to build the wall. They're going to be forced to pay it. And they should pay reparations. Have a voice. So in a nice, calm voice, I said, no probable cause, due process. Let me see the statute.
It's hard to imagine.
So now the traffic's backing up even more.
Right.
But you have to be prepared to go to jail if you do this. You have to be prepared to have your butt beaten. And I was prepared for that. I mean, I'm not going to fight 4 or 5 cops, and I didn't think they would do it as long as you're respectful. So the commander comes up and he asks what the problem is, and I explain it to him. And I said, and we're going to go to this phone line in just a minute. David Tulis is on the line with us here. And I said, I prefer that you do arrest me. I want to go to jail because this issue needs to be taken up with the Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court. And I don't use attorneys. I don't practice law. I know the law. And I want to be the one to overturn this. So do me a favor, arrest me. You know what he said?
What's up?
Get out of here.
Nice. So maybe a little bit of a challenge can get yourself out of the way.
Rights are only granted to belligerent claimants in person. You must be warlike. You're not going to search my car. You're not going to take my gun.
And we don't mean warlike necessarily in a physical way.
No, warlike is taking a stand.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to hurt someone. It's just
Right.
taking it. And that's what they're the words of the Supreme Court.
Right.
So you have to take a stand. Checkpoints. The idea that Americans would tolerate checkpoints is beyond anything I would. Listen, I can understand you allow government to steal half your money. I can understand that you file papers with the government every year and give them all your private information. I can understand how you could be brainwashed to do that for the public good. But I don't understand how this country can accept something that we killed hundreds of thousands of Germans over, which are checkpoints. They want to see your papers. You don't question me. You don't talk to me. You don't ask me where I'm going and where I've come from unless you're probable cause to believe I've committed the crime because you work for me. Do we get that straight? Oh, no, there's an authority. And I blame you, Mom and Dad, and I blame our grandmothers and grandfathers and especially the government schools that create an illusion that there's authority in this country. The cops are not the authority. The government is not the authority. God is the authority. Do you get that? God is the authority. Government is at the bottom of the totem pole. I just stepped on it like a roach. They're there to serve us. Get a clue. You're losing your country. Men with penises are wearing dresses, walking into your daughter's restroom. And Barack Obama and the federal government says it's okay. Where are the men? What the hell is wrong with you, America? We'll be back after these.
1240. AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest.
Hot News Talk 1240.
All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Diesel off-road technology, Saudi Daisy. For your four-wheel drive and truck needs. Stuff and upholstery with premium rubber foam. Amigos Mexican Restaurant next to Staples and Hickson. Drink specials during the race. Cell Surgeon, the Broken Screen Doc. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Enter your guesses now and then listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
I love NASCAR.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A checkpoint and lane openings in Hamilton County from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. There's reportedly going to be a checkpoint at Highway 41 at Raccoon Mountain in Chattanooga, sobriety checkpoint. Going to be stopping everybody there. Lane closures have been rescinded for the holiday weekend as well, although the construction speed limits are still in effect, and because police patrols have been stepped up, following those speed limits to the number is recommended. 4 city employees robbed at gunpoint Thursday morning and asked to remove their pants during that robbery. The suspect demanded 2 of the 4 victims take off their pants. He then got personal items from them and fled on foot. He's described as a black male, and he was said to have been carrying a black semi-automatic handgun. Beer was served for the first time during a Chattanooga Mocs game at Finley Stadium, the first time in Finley Stadium history. It's going on in Tennessee Valley. It's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. From all of us here, enjoy your holiday weekend.
We're at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Yes, sir. 2 orders of nachos with beef and beans, 2 beers. Chattanooga loves its Amigos restaurants, but the Amigos in Hickson has something extra. NASCAR, every race. How about a house wine? Really good. Big name beers, just tell Maria what you want. And here at Amigos, margaritas are popular, and it's only $3 all day. If you come here on a race day, Sunday, a Natty Light is only $2.25. Here at Amigos, just during NASCAR, Natty Light, $2.25. Amigos Mexican Restaurant in Hickson. The happy hour is 3 to 9 today and every day. I'd say the atmosphere is festive. Look at that huge TV. It's like being amid the fans under a bright sun, but no gasoline fumes, no heat. Stay cool. Quench your thirst. Amigos between Staples and Hobby Lobby. Take the next table to mine. Enjoy the NASCAR race with friend or family here at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Okay, it started.
Drivers, start your engines.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash. Need Labor Day cash? Rick Davis will give you top dollar for your gold, silver, diamonds, and coins. You'll get international prices. It's like he's giving away money. Labor Day cash and top dollar for your gold, silver, diamonds, and coins. There he goes. More cash out the door from Rick. Need Labor Day cash? Rick Davis will give you top dollar. Top dollar for your gold, silver, diamonds, and coins. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash and diamonds. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. 5301 Brainerd Road. You know where it is.
Rubber's tough, but foam rubber is soft. Foam rubber is the star at Stuff It Upholstery, which uses it to revive your couch, your embarrassing easy chair, your boat seat cushions. Stuff It Foam Rubber in Hickson covers Chattanooga and surrounding areas. Don't throw out that favorite easy chair that's grown haggard and barbaric. New life for your seat cushions. Premium auto-grade rubber foam for your restaurant, church, or business. Stuff It Upholstery brings comfort and relief. Go ahead, skid away from flat, dull, and droopy cushions. Relax, restore, revive. When comfort matters, stuff it. Mention Monica Lewinsky. Get 10 cents off on the dollar. 877-1616. That's 877-1616.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items, discounted to, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
Here comes Dale
Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Fox News Talk 1240.
The issue of roadblocks is one that is not like many other issues that we talk about. Well, not that we talk about, that it's not like a whole lot of issues that especially the national media talks about, because the issue of the roadblock is immediately to all of us. Because this could actually mean real money gone from our bank accounts. This could mean real detriment to our lives if we get stopped and there's something in our car that we don't know about, or if we get stopped and there's some issue with our vehicle that we don't know about that you would otherwise be pulled over for, but maybe not. If you're already being pulled over, now your car is immediately subject to a little bit more scrutiny than it might be if it was just a regular trip down the road and you happen to pass a policeman. You know, he may ignore expired registration. But if you're at a traffic stop already, otherwise you may not have been pulled over, but now you're in that situation where that can happen to you. So we're not talking about roadblocks being detrimental to only, say, the drug dealer or the rum runner or what have you. A roadblock is an immediate issue that does affect everybody. It affects me. It affects you. And you know and I know that we're law-abiding citizens for the most part. We do what we do. We're chill guys, and we don't worry about getting arrested. But we all have a little bit of sweat under our armpits whenever we're at a roadblock. Even if we know we've not really done anything wrong, we're always a little bit worried for some unknown problem that we may have. On the phone right now is David Tulis from Nooganomics.com, and of course our correspondent from Hot News Talk Radio. And David's going to tell us a little bit about the roadblock issue. Now, David, tell me about the roadblock legally in Tennessee. What's the legal status of a roadblock in Tennessee?
Well, thanks, Russell, for bringing this question up. Roadblocks in Tennessee are legal. They have not been forbidden by the Tennessee Supreme Court. There are two major rulings. One is about 10 years old, covered in detail at Nooganomics.com. And it is the Hicks decision, and before that was the Downey decision. And together, these two rulings allow for these impositions on the right of the listener to travel freely, whether he's a traveler of the Constitution operating freely on the public right-of-way, or as a operator of a motor vehicle, which is to say he's in commerce and he's licensed, has insurance, and has tags on his car, and is in commerce. Either of these two groups are allowed to be imposed upon by roadblocks, which the judges know is offensive to constitutional liberty. But what they've done is this: they want the police, they favor the state. Of course, they are progressive, and so they want the state to be able to have its way as against the free citizens with restrictions. The restrictions allow for the damage, the intrusiveness of roadblocks to be minimized. And so those are the rules that are extant today, and the police departments, sheriff's departments have to follow these rules. Again, limiting the damage to you, the listener of our radio station, Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. And so what we're trying to find out today is, and I've been working this morning on this project, is to determine where roadblocks are and what are do these departments recognize the rules imposed upon them? And let's just give a quick rundown, Russell, for the listener. Okay, in Chattanooga proper, there is one roadblock, and that will be tonight. The whole weekend, you, the listener, are free from roadblocks in Chattanooga proper. The one that will be imposed by the Tennessee Highway Patrol is on Highway 41 at Raccoon Mountain. And I was not able to determine exactly when and where, and the department should make that available. This is a gross point of neglect, I would say. The department should say exactly when and exactly where. Why? Russell, tell the listener why the listener needs to know exactly when and where.
Well, because for one, I think the economic reason is you're paying for it. Anything you pay for through the state, you should know about through your taxes. But another issue is, too, you need to know about it because you have a right to be able to avoid it if you want to. You should be able to avoid a roadblock. There's no legal problem with you wanting to avoid a roadblock. That does not mean you've done anything wrong. It means maybe you're in a hurry. You're still going the speed limit, but maybe you're in a hurry. And that's okay. And the situation in Red Bank, David, was really astonishing to me when we were talking about that. Tell us what's going on in Red Bank, or rather what we don't know is going on in Red Bank.
Well, the uncertainty problem. It does not affect just the THP's roadblock tonight, probably at Raccoon Mountain on Highway 41, but Red Bank. I called the Red Bank Chief's office and asked, where are you having roadblocks over the holiday? And the spokeswoman spoke to the chief, Chief Crystal, and he through her would not tell me. His name is Tim Crystal. She would not tell me where the roadblock is. She refused to give the information. And I said, well, ma'am, you have to give that information out. That's part of my job as publisher, as a reporter, is to publicize this information so that the listener or reader can avoid the roadblock. That reduces the intrusiveness of the roadblock that your town wants to have. And she has not gotten back to me, so we don't have details here. But I would say probably like you suggested, Russell, that we should avoid Red Bank if we want to avoid roadblocks this Labor Day weekend. And Chattanooga has no roadblocks. Okay, the Chattanooga Police Department is not doing any roadblocks this 4-day period. The only one in town, as we mentioned, is the THP, and that's Raccoon Mountain, and that's today only. Sometime today, unknown time frame, unknown exact location. Russell, let me ask you this: why should the listener, if he sees a roadblock warning sign, which are, I think, pretty standard, why should he take the first road left or right?
Well, like we were talking about a second ago, if you are subject to a roadblock, not only are your constitutional rights being stepped on against searches and seizures, but also there might be a problem with your car that you just don't know about, and you can get a ticket for it. Otherwise, you may not have, because when you're at a roadblock, your car's under a special amount of scrutiny than it might not be before.
Right. Well, the rules also require Red Bank, they require Chattanooga, the Sheriff's Department, all to allow a means of escape for the traveler, the motorist. He comes upon a sign that says roadblock ahead. To avoid the roadblock, he needs to do the following: take the first left or the first right. That allows him to escape the roadblock, to not have to go through it. He can turn around and go back. Okay, well, go back. If it really matters to you, as it would to me, I would go back. But the rules require a means of escape to avoid what the court called the unreasonable intrusiveness of a roadblock. Now, another review, just so the listener knows, the county is not going to be doing a roadblock in the county, Howland County, though the man in charge of that operation, his name is Captain Charles Lowry, told me that we will not be doing roadblocks, but we will be doing heavy saturation patrols. And that's true also for Saudi Daisy. Saudi Daisy will have no roadblock, Acting Chief Jeff Gann says, but there will be saturation patrols. And there's let me ask you this, Russell, there is a legitimate reason for saturation patrols. If you have patrols, saturation patrols serve a good purpose. What do you suppose that might be?
Well, from my perspective, I would say because drunk drivers are a legitimate problem, and there's nothing wrong with pulling over someone who you reasonably suppose to be a drunk driver. Pulling over drunk drivers is not a problem, but pulling over people who are obviously not drunk and you're doing it for, say, just a checkpoint reason, a monetary reason, that is a problem. But pulling over drunk drivers, it's no problem.
Yeah, Chief Gann says it's fair to say we all are, maybe guilty is not the best word, but I guess we all are, seem to let off the gas pedal, he says, or we may apply the brakes when we look ahead and actually see a marked police car or a Tennessee Highway Patrol car. The visibility plays into the role of helping us be safer and better drivers. That's Acting Chief Jeff Gann of Saudi Daisy. So that's a good point. There will be saturation patrols everywhere this Labor Day weekend. But the only roadblock we know about is in Raccoon Mountain Highway 41. The listener should be aware of that. And Red Bank is making mystifying comments to us this morning about whether it has roadblocks in its town. If it does, these have to follow certain rules, and the rules, again, for the listener, are that it has to be a planned roadblock. It cannot be just done in the field. There's no discretion by the officer. It's a roadblock for driver's license. It's just a roadblock for sobriety. No fishing expedition roadblocks are allowed. They are forbidden. The listener needs to know fishing expedition roadblocks are forbidden in Tennessee. So if it's a sobriety checkpoint, as Saudi Daisy has had, the officer cannot ask anything else. Just determine whether you have alcohol in your breath or if there's the wafting odor of liquor in your car, and that's it. He can't ask you questions. He can't ask to see your driver's license. He can't do anything else. But of course, he may get probable cause. You see, he may, in stopping you, get probable cause to search you if he sees something that gives him that reason. So that certainly is possible, even though the pretense of the roadblock is limited to sobriety or driver's license. Now, the one on Highway 41 will be for driver's licenses, according to the Department of Safety.
The interesting quote that you have here from Tracy Massey said that, this is referring to Red Bank, Police Chief Tim Crystal said that he plans a concentrated saturation DUI effort this weekend, but they're not saying anything at all about roadblocks. And that seems kind of odd. I guess they're going for the covert method there in Red Bank. I have a question, though, that I wonder if you have the answer for. Is there any statement at all from Sheriff Jim Hammond, of course, the executive sort of, in terms of Hamilton County law enforcement? He's the CLEO here. Is there any statement from him at all about these roadblocks?
No, his representative in that to answer that question is Captain Lowry, and he says we will not be doing roadblocks, but we will be doing our heavy saturation patrols in Hamilton County.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was direct from the sheriff's mouthpiece or not. So that's good to know.
No, that's just his the man in charge of that operation. So I'd say Russell that our law enforcement agencies in the area, we've not talked with all of them, but the ones we have questioned seem to be not prone to be doing roadblocks this holiday. You know, Labor Day is about labor. It's about the working man. It's about productivity, capitalism, the generation of wealth by working and serving other people. So Labor Day really is a weekend and a time off, vacation time for the common man, the working man. And our goal, and I know it's your goal, Russell, on Binary and your other work, our goal is to help the listener be able to enjoy the fruits of his labor and not to have his liberties as a free citizen of our state be trampled upon needlessly and callously. We want there to be a respect of the citizenry, even though we know there are people who travel carelessly, they speed, they may be imbibing alcohol, not in full control of their 1-ton moving objects. But we think that it's good that there are very few roadblocks this go around.
And it does seem a little bit ironic that on Labor Day there's this particular hindrance to the laborer now on his one day off, maybe. Just a tad bit of irony there, I think. But the whole issue of the roadblock is something that's not really challenged at all, especially in, I hate to use the phrase mainstream media, but especially in television media and newspaper. We don't really see the concept of it challenged at all. Does that seem fair to you?
No, but I think since so many things, as Conservative Mike points out, so many things in our day are licensed, that we're not a free people because we consent to ask permission to do things which are God-given or constitutionally protected rights. You know, there are all kinds of things that we, as Americans, as Tennesseans, we can do and are free to do if we would just assert the right to do so and not comply by asking permission. And on that point, I think of the right of travel. Now, our listener needs to know that this is a question, kind of an odd corner of the liberty question. That's one of my areas of exploration, and that is the right of travel versus the privilege of operating a motor vehicle in commerce. Everybody I know, with a couple of exceptions, is in the same category as you and I, Russell, and that is we travel as in commerce. We enter into stream of commerce by applying for a driver's license. We use registered cars, and we adhere to the statute for commerce of having insurance. So those 3 points, and our adherence to them, our agreement to them, our submission to them, those 3 points control us and really prevent us from really traveling freely. What we do instead is we operate in commerce as if we were, in fact, carrying people and goods for hire. And we have all the impositions that we accept in commerce, that is to say, regulation. And most people who are users of cars are, in fact, not in commerce. They misrepresent themselves in entering into that stream, and they admit by applying for driver's license, entering that application, they admit I'm in commerce because it is, after all, the commercial driver's license statute. The whole thing is called, and they pretend to be buying and selling the movement of goods and people for hire. That's what commerce is on the road. And I know it's an odd thing to discuss, but I've looked at it in some detail. The website is Nooganomics.com, Nooganomics.com. And also just wanted our listener to know that I'm not in the studio right now. I'm calling in. I'm having a repair done at SNS Auto Repair, which is my shop. Now, this is a little shop on Air Park Drive, just off of Vance Road in Brainerd. And I have been coming way out of my way. It's very inconvenient to come here to do car repairs. But SNS is a place where I have my car done because I trust these people. I've been coming here for years. It's like I said, it's very inconvenient to come to SNS Auto Repair for me, but I do all the way from Saudi Daisy because these are very credible and believable people in this shop. Aaron Smith and his dad, Steve, run this business, and I've had great service. So just so you know. Well, listen, Russell, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. And that was David Tulis from Nooganomics.com. Check out his website. That's Nooganomics.com is his website where he writes about all sorts of very amazing legal topics, but not just legal topics too. Christianity. We talk a little bit about the issue of abortion on Nooganomics.com from a very Christian perspective. And it's just an all-around great website for the local man and woman, of course, the local people to check out. And you'll get perspective on issues that you may not have even thought of. Not because you are somehow lacking in intelligence, but because these are issues that just aren't brought up in everyday society. And that's something that must be acknowledged about how the populace is today. We don't know about things that used to be absolute critical knowledge. We don't know about the difference between commercial and private. I think about the issue of a license as an example. A license is permission to do something which would otherwise be illegal. This is to say that from the perspective of the state, operating normally without a driver's license is illegal. Now, how can that be when driving is something that is necessary for everyday life? That's like asking permission to buy water or food or asking permission to hunt or fish. But yet we have to have that too. What if you're one of the people who lives out in the middle of nowhere, and that's not a bad thing, but lives out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to do these things for survival, hunting and fishing. But obviously you must get permission to do that first. That doesn't seem exactly right. How can there be permission for something that is necessary for everyday life? It's like permission to breathe. You don't have a breathing license, and so now you're operating in violation, and we're going to take away your air and put you in jail or fine you for a certain amount. That's pretty much what happens with the driving issue, and that's not to say that there shouldn't be maybe some sort of accreditation or classes for driving, but should there be a charge and an arrest for someone who drives without the permission of the state? That's an issue that is a bristly topic for a lot of people, and it gets people mad to talk about it. And I'm not expecting everyone to agree with me or to agree with David or to agree with the rest of us here at the radio station. I'm expecting people to at least think about it. I don't even expect that. I hope that maybe you'll give it a little bit of thought, because I can't ask everyone to agree with me. And we all know that in talk radio, I can't expect anyone to agree with anything I say. But I can ask that maybe you consider it a little bit. Think about a different perspective. We are, in modern society especially, saturated with the state narrative that we need everything from the state. You have to have the state to exist in order for you to live normally. You have to have, say, a special police force for you to be safe. You have to have all these different protections from the state in order to operate safely and to live normally. We just sort of accept that as fact when maybe it's not necessarily. And that's not saying that people who operate in the capacity of a policeman or as a fireman or as county hired EMS or any of these other agencies, that's not to say these people are bad. No one's saying that. That's to say that maybe the position is operating immorally. That doesn't mean you are. It means the legal entity might not necessarily be legal. It might be an illegal entity. Because, for instance, you can make the argument about police versus sheriff. Now, does that mean that because police forces are not necessarily constitutional, but sheriffs are, does that mean every policeman is bad? No. It just means that the agency they are operating in is not necessarily constitutional. That doesn't mean that they are bad people or they're always doing bad things. You have to understand that. It's easy to label someone as being anti-cop or anti-this or anti-that, when really it's not against the person, right? It's not an ad hominem attack. It's against the agency or against the concept, not against the individual. No one's saying, Mr. Policeman number 2 is a bad guy. I'm saying that maybe the entity is not necessarily constitutional, but a sheriff's office is. But that's a whole big, broad concept for maybe another day. And I want to let you know about the roadblocks here in Chattanooga. And you do have a legal right to avoid these roadblocks. There is no legal problem with you wanting to not go through a roadblock. That is perfectly legally okay. You're not going to be in trouble if you try to avoid a roadblock. Now, if you try to, pull a Yui right in front of them, then you might get in trouble because that's not necessarily legal. But if you make a left-hand or a right-hand turn legally, just like you normally would, you're not going to get in trouble for avoiding that roadblock. The roadblocks are voluntary. They must be legally, according to the Tennessee Supreme Court. They have to be voluntary roadblocks. And there must be warning that there's going to be a roadblock. They can't be impromptu. They can't pop up on you and say, oh, by the way, this is a roadblock. They can't do that. There must be notice. There must be a way out, and it must be voluntary. And the voluntarism there is when you don't turn off. That's to say when you go through it instead of turning left or right. So that's the implication of consent. I'm not sure how constitutional that might be. That's an argument for another Supreme Court case, but it's all very easy to get away from. So the current roadblock is on Highway 41 near Raccoon Mountain. And if you want to go through the roadblock, nobody's stopping you. I'm not saying don't ever go through roadblocks, although I would not recommend it. You can go through one if you want to. It's all about consent. If you consent, understanding everything that can happen if you go through a roadblock, go ahead. But I would not necessarily recommend it. You can always turn away from a roadblock at a legal turnoff, and you may always just avoid the area. Like Red Bank, as an example, is doing saturation policing, and that's okay. Saturation patrols are okay. The concept is not a bad thing, and the result is not necessarily a bad thing, because we understand that just seeing a cop car, like the policeman talks about in Red Bank, is a deterrent in and of itself. You slow down when you see a police car because you're afraid of getting pulled over. It is an element of fear, but speeding is illegal, or at least it's a violation of the contract you agreed to when you got yourself a driver's license. So you get pulled over when you speed. It's what happens. If you get caught, you can't get upset for it. It's part of your driver's license. It's something you volunteered for, whether you realize it or not. Believe it or not, it's a frightening thing. But you can avoid roadblocks if you want to. Now, in Sunny Daisy, there is no roadblock, but again, there is saturation patrols, and that's okay. And in Red Bank, they're being very coy about the roadblocks. There probably are roadblocks in Red Bank, but they are also doing saturation patrols, like I would expect here in Chattanooga, because this is a holiday weekend. You got to remember, there are people who are going to drive drunk, and those people should not be on the roads. And them being pulled over is not a bad thing. I'm not against the police pulling over someone who drives drunk. I am 100% okay with that. What I am against is the police pulling over someone with no probable cause and not supported by oath or affirmation, no Fourth Amendment consideration taken whatsoever. Does that happen often? I don't know. And I'm not saying it does. But if it does happen, that's a bad thing, and I'm against it. So you have to understand, this is not a constant anti-cop barrage. This is something that is just you exercising your rights and doing what is legal. And any policeman worth his salt is going to respect that. And that's okay. So there you go. That's how you can avoid roadblocks. You can turn away from them. If you're not doing anything wrong, there's nothing wrong with turning away from a roadblock or you're for it. But I would recommend not. This is Best Shot here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. Colin Cowherd coming up next, one of the best sports shows on the planet. Although I would say Clutcher Keon Rose might be a little bit better. And by the way, I just want to let you know, the Mocs. How about them Mocs, right? Crazy win, 60-something to nothing. Congratulations, UTC Mocs, on your wonderfully glorious win against that school you played against. Colin Cowherd coming up next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga.